good and running so well, both on PS5 and PS4. Insomniac somehow captured the real-world magic of New York and imbued it into Spider-Man Miles Morales, letting players experience it any time of year. Horizon Forbidden West improves on the Zero Dawn experience in just about every way. Aloy's new journey features a dense world full of meaningful side quests, where each character and their stories offer a unique entry point into the world. And it's a world that feels like it meaningfully lives and even evolves around Aloy and the player. And to better serve those side quests, Guerrilla has extended the reach of Aloy's world to the titular Forbidden West, with a host of memorable locations that offer insight into both the current tribes populating that world and the crumbled remains of our former civilization. Climbing traversal may not be as free as some other games on this list, but the ability to better search underwater and even take to the skies are welcome, joyous additions to the formula. Horizon Forbidden West is certainly built on the foundation of other open-world games, including Zero Dawn, but it's an amazing step in pushing the genre forward and creating a captivating adventure in its own right. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain is one of the best examples of how an open-world game should approach its challenges. There's more than one way to go at any situation, and the result is a feeling of unprecedented freedom of choice. At its best, it's pure play, reminiscent of smashing army men together in a playground sandbox, but with a fantastic soundtrack and more than enough of Kojima eccentricity to make it feel even more special. While the story is ultimately unfinished, and it can't really hold itself together through to the end, the freedom it affords makes it incredible, regardless of its narrative shortcomings.
Welcome to Skyrim Adventurer.
Attack with weapon!
Your dagger slices the large mud crab.
It's been a long-running joke that Skyrim exists on almost every platform imaginable. From its humble beginnings in 2011, launching on PC, PS3, and Xbox 360, Skyrim is now everywhere, including Amazon Alexa devices, and for good reason. It's set an entirely new standard for what an open-world adventure could be, and it remains amazing. The PC version houses one of the most bustling modding communities of all time, even having full-length games spawn from it. And with the recent upgrade to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, Skyrim still looks and plays fantastic. With its engrossing story, living open world, and more content than any one person knows what to do with, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim still stands today as one of the greatest open-world RPGs a person can spend their time with. A fixture in the top open-world game discussion for the past 12 years, Fallout New Vegas burned itself into our collective memories by dropping us into an amazing story that reacts to our choices and plays out all around us. Building on the foundations of Bethesda's Fallout 3, New Vegas moved us to the more colorful and diverse western region of the post-nuclear apocalypse United States and put us on a path to intersect with conflicts large and small. We meet some of the Fallout series' best characters and follow what begins as a simple quest to find the man who shot you and left you for dead directly into the middle of a brewing three-way war between the New California Republic, a self-proclaimed New Roman emperor, and an immortal casino magnate to determine the fate of New Vegas. Even in all the years since, there's rarely been an in-game world that felt as lived in and busy or rich with stories, personalities, and dark humor, both on the surface and just beneath it, waiting for us to find them. It may seem a little rash to just immediately catapult Elden Ring above some of the all-time greats that make up the top half of this list. That said, Elden Ring is one of the boldest and most groundbreaking open-world games of the past decade. One that empowers the player to find their own path, without being guided by an endless series of map markers, waypoints, or hollow side quests. The world of the Lands Between is not only gigantic, but it's positively dense with caves and catacombs to discover, roaming boss battles to conquer, valuable treasures to uncover, and all manner of challenge to overcome. The journey through Elden Ring is not an easy one, especially if you're not familiar with From Software's unique philosophy when it comes to teaching its lessons through punishing difficulty. But it's constantly rewarding, surprising, and awe-inspiring in ways few games are.
They'll probably hang you, buddy.
Red Dead Redemption 2 is deliberate in the way it allows you to live out the life of a fictional cowboy named Arthur Morgan. Morgan's story is an authored experience, but the magic of Red Dead Redemption 2 is how the game's open world allows players to flesh out that life with meaningful experiences thanks to its meticulously crafted world. Want your Arthur to get really into hunting? Then have fun stalking, trapping, and skinning hundreds of animals, complete with their own food chain and habits. Want to get weirdly into artifact hunting? Go right ahead. Or perhaps you just want to soak in the atmosphere and hand carve your bullets by a campfire for a small damage buff. There are no wrong answers, just a world stuffed with mystery and wonder that allows us to reach back in time and discover the world of the Wild West for ourselves. A perfect send-off to the Xbox 360 and PS3 era of gaming, Grand Theft Auto V's legacy and influence has maintained a powerful presence in the industry spanning into 2 additional hardware generations, as GTA 5 proved to be a powerful force on both the PS4 and Xbox One, and may likely be again on the PS5 and Xbox Series. And of course, it never truly leaves the spotlight, thanks to the impressive and regular updates Grand Theft Auto Online receives. But Grand Theft Auto 5 more than earns that legacy as a glorious achievement, thanks in part to its triple protagonist structure that offers a compelling overarching narrative that keeps you invested through to the end. And the immersiveness of its open world cannot be overstated. Los Santos is brimming with life, interesting places to explore, and an incredible amount to do both in the campaign and in GTA Online. Compete in a triathlon, purchase properties, or even trade stocks in the virtual stock market. You can do all that and a lot more in the finest example of a modern open world in gaming. Even as it was released, near the other entries on this list, The Witcher 3 set a new bar for open-world games, one that plenty of other games are still compared to now 7 years later. From the barren hills of Velen to the bursting streets of Novigrad or the verdant fields of Blood and Wine's Toussaint, every corner of the continent is full to bursting with monsters to slay, secrets to uncover, and dozens of hours of side quests that feel just as fleshed out and meaningful as its main story. Add on 2 of the best expansion packs ever in gaming, which are both included in the current retail version, and introduce new maps, upgrades, and collectibles, and you have so many more reasons to explore this exceptional fantasy world. Breath of the Wild is the ultimate realization of the promise of the Zelda series, a template first laid out way back in the NES days. Breath of the Wild is, quite simply, the game we imagined ourselves playing all those years ago. The images we held in our minds, colored by the art in the instruction manual, were suddenly made 3-dimensional, fully explorable, and infinitely replayable. Even though Breath of the Wild came out in 2017, we've still not seen any game come close to its blend of charm, freedom, and gravitas. Simply pointing Link in any direction was a guarantee for discovery and adventure, and the movement afforded by the addition of so many easily climbable surfaces makes it the greatest and most magical fully realized open-world game ever created. Those are our picks for the top 10 open world games, but be sure to let us know what's on your list that didn't make the cut. And for even more top 10s, be sure to check out our ranking of the best Far Cry games and the best Assassin's Creeds. And for everything else in the world of gaming, keep it here at IGN.
The PC is the evil lab where new horror games are grown and tested. Some of the greatest modern horror games are word-of-mouth hits, and some of the most popular horror games of the last decade began as PC exclusives. To that end, we've selected the top 12 horror games you can play on your PC right now. While some of these aren't exclusive to PC, they either got their start on the platform or live and breathe there. Some of these are horror classics that have influenced countless imitators, while others are still hidden gems that deserve to keep you up at night. Here are our picks for the 12 best horror games on PC. I'm Scared, a pixelated nightmare is the only game on this list that breaks through its .exe boundaries and carries the scares into the real world. As you creep through I'm Scared's low-res environments, finding keys and attempting to escape the nightmare you're currently in, an entity known as Whiteface stalks your every move. Once caught, Whiteface triggers a crash back to your desktop, and in its wake, a folder containing a text document appears on screen, taunting your failure. It plays with your mind in other ways too. Your browser might suddenly open, landing on a spooky YouTube video. Elsewhere, HTML web documents appear in another folder, showing a map and the supposed exit to the area you're in. But can you trust it? It even goes as far as requiring you to delete in-game documents to progress through certain moments. Much like Eternal Darkness, I'm Scared brings its unique style of horror outside of itself, a truly cursed game.
The only monsters are us. Murderers, rapists, arsonists.
Less than a minute into The Cat Lady, you find out that the main character, a lonely 40-year-old woman named Susan Ashworth, has committed suicide. Soon after, she reawakens in a mysterious world only to be greeted by someone called the Queen of Maggots, who instructs her to remove 5 parasites from the world so that she may finally find peace. The Cat Lady, despite its complex themes around mental health and serious tone, is surprisingly simple to play. You'll explore twisted and bizarre environments, collect various items to solve puzzles, and guide Susan's decisions via dialogue choices with other characters. But beyond its traditional point-and-click adventure trappings is an affecting story, rooted in an authentic struggle of a woman who no longer wants to live.
And like them, you show no mercy.
Dead by Daylight launched in 2016 as a meager but well-meaning asymmetrical slasher horror game where various bumbling teenagers avoided gnarly eviscerations from archetypal slasher movie villains. By 2021, it's become the Smash Brothers of horror games, bringing in iconic killer characters like Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers to legendary horror game villains like Resident Evil's Nemesis and Silent Hill's Pyramid Head. Dead by Daylight continues to evolve on its premise, routinely adding new characters, features, and more to its rock-solid foundation. One thing remains constant though. It's just as fun to play the game as a group of seemingly helpless survivors in one round as it is to play as a huge, powerful horror movie monster in the next. Amnesia: The Dark Descent is one of the older games on this list, but it's here for good reason. Its gameplay mechanics helped spur a rebirth of the survival horror genre that had drifted into action game territory. Amnesia starts off with the protagonist, Daniel, waking up alone in a dark castle, Brennenburg. He has no memory of how he got there, and as he explores his surroundings, he realizes there's a shadow stalking him. Wandering about the castle are other creatures that will give chase if they spot you. This wouldn't be a huge problem if you could fight back, but you can't. Your only defense is to run and often hide in the dark, a stark contrast to more action-oriented horror games like Resident Evil 5, which had come out the year before. But here's the kicker. Stay in the dark too long, and you'll lose your mind. It's not the first game to have a sanity meter, Eternal Darkness says hello, but its implementation in Amnesia is pretty ingenious. You'll need to balance the game's use of light to see what the hell you're even doing with hiding in the darkness to avoid monsters. The same darkness that's slowly driving you insane. Amnesia's sequels and follow-ups all build upon the Dark Descent's mechanics in smart ways, and other developers have taken notice. The Dark Descent still holds up today, even if the controls and interface are a little rough on consoles. So if you're in the mood to sit in the dark for 10 hours, take a trip to Brennenburg. Just don't stay in the dark for too long. Fans of Junji Ito and or H.P. Lovecraft will want to look into adding World of Horror to their list of scary games to play this October. This 1-bit horror game feels like you just stumbled upon a series of eerie and extremely detailed drawings on MS Paint. Set in Shiokawa, Japan, players are tasked with stopping the apocalypse by exploring various locations and fighting monsters inspired by Japanese horror manga and urban legends. It is, of course, a horror game, but World of Horror also adds elements from the roguelite and RPG genres. World of Horror's grasp on tension, perfectly paired soundtrack, and overall challenge make it a must-play on the PC. Few games have successfully captured a sense of overwhelming bleakness and foreboding like the Stalker trilogy does. Whether you're racing to the site of the world's worst nuclear incident deep within Chernobyl, or discovering the secrets hidden within the decrepit city of Pripyat, this living, breathing world is ready to sap the life from your body. So if going toe-to-toe against spirits deep underground, or zombified foes who were once your companions, sounds like your kind of thing, it's time to pay a visit to the Chernobyl exclusion zone. There was always something inherently creepy about being in a Chuck E. Cheese restaurant as a kid, a dimly lit, rat-themed birthday party center with sad pizza, a mostly broken arcade room, and a giant animatronic animal band that would shut down in between songs to stare into the souls of children with giant, dead-eyed looks. Five Nights at Freddy's is an entire game about the fleeting joy and haunted magic of a seemingly lifeless collection of animatronic pizza restaurant mascots who suddenly spring to life and become horrifying nightmares. Although instead of being a kid at a birthday party, you're an employee tasked with watching the restaurant after dark and surviving the night yourself. You'll flip through security cameras and other various devices while unsettling mechanical faces pop up and sporadically or generally go bump in the night. But what makes it all so unique is that Five Nights at Freddy's is one of the few horror games that most kids can play without enduring a lifetime of trauma. It's rare to have a game series that can cater both to young and adult horror fans, mostly because it features a thing we can all agree on. Animatronic animals are terrifying.
The heck is that noise?
Pathologic was ahead of its time when it was released way back in 2006. Set in a mysterious town beset by an unknown plague, Pathologic combines horror and mystery for a truly unique experience. Choose one of 3 player characters who must survive for 12 days while uncovering the mystery of the Sand Plague. Each day, new quests will be available that will take characters one step closer to the truth. But be warned, because these quests will only be available on a specific day, and once it passes, it's gone for good. Pathologic and its sequel Pathologic 2 truly excel at atmosphere. While jump scares are a bit few and far between, the overwhelming sense of dread will linger through your entire playthrough, and your time in Pathologic will burrow in your mind for much longer. Phasmophobia came onto the scene like a bat out of hell. 4 players can join up as amateur ghost hunters armed with tools like night vision cameras, holy water, and radios. As an early access game, there are still plenty of technical kinks to work out, but the core premise works exceptionally well. Maybe that's why so many Phasmophobia likes have popped up on Steam in recent months. You'll wander through haunted homes and abandoned prisons, calling out for spirits from the beyond. Gather enough clues, and you can try to successfully identify what kind of ghost is haunting that location. Deduce correctly for a nice payday. As the clock ticks, the chances of running into a ghost increase, and so does the danger. Nothing beats that moment when you suddenly see your friend twist and contort from getting got by one of Phasmophobia's many evil spirits as you all scramble to the exit for a hasty escape.
You know what? Is it smart for us to be locked inside a bathroom altogether?
Chila's Art is the name of an indie dev team formed by 2 brothers in Japan. Since 2018, the duo has released over 15 micro-horror games on Steam, priced at just a couple of dollars. While these games might only be a few hours long, they pack a horrifying punch. Every Chila's Art game is a unique experience, but they're typically played in the first person and are centered around a mundane experience that quickly escalates into something terrible. One of the most well-known is the convenience store, where players take on the role of a night shift convenience store employee. As players go about their night, restocking items and checking inventory, creepy happenings such as strange customers, unexplained noises, and other horrifying encounters begin to intensify as the night goes on. With so many Chila's Art games to choose from, it's hard to recommend just one. But with such a low barrier to entry, pick a few and you're guaranteed to have a good time. Babysitter Bloodbath, Power Drill Massacre, and The Night Ripper. No, these aren't forgotten grindhouse films from the 80s, but rather delightfully gory and downright terrifying games created by solo indie horror developer Puppet Combo. Via Patreon and itch.io, there are over 20 games in the past decade, all of which offer no shortage of intense and unforgiving moments. Whether you're escaping from a serial killer while babysitting, taking part in a deadly game of cat and mouse with a psychotic nun in a boarding school in the aptly named Nun Massacre, or controlling a park ranger on a cold and stormy night while something stalks them from afar, Puppet Combo wholeheartedly embraces its PS1 style with VHS horror roots in every game. Dire situations, sleazy companions, and unrelenting killers make each and every one of Puppet Combo's games an unforgettable nightmare. When Konami canceled Silent Hills in 2015, a slew of spiritual successors and games heavily influenced by the Silent Hills playable teaser came out. This includes Sad Square Studios' first game, the psychological horror Visage. Set in the 1980s, you play as Dwayne Anderson, a resident of a large home that is being tormented by the supernatural as he tries to find a way out of the house and learn more about what's causing all the paranormal activity in his home. As you explore the mostly dark and quiet house, supernatural entities will taunt you by breaking light bulbs, turning on and off lights, and slamming doors. This constant barrage of sensory terror, combined with trying to maintain Dwayne's sanity, makes Visage one of the more challenging horror games released in recent years. It's a trial and error game, but your patience is rewarded with a fascinating story and plenty of jump scares. While it may not be Silent Hills, the legacy of Konami's unreleased game courses through the veins of Visage while maintaining its own identity. And there you have it! Those are IGN's top horror PC games. Disagree with the ranking? Think another entry should have been on the list? And if you're looking for more, check out our list of the top 10 Metroidvanias and the best FPS campaigns of all time. And for everything else, keep it here on IGN.
If you're going to steal, steal from the best. That certainly seems to be the approach taken by Clear Sky Games, the team behind Misplaced. They've jimmied the lock on The Legend of Zelda's treasure chest and made off with its most prized possessions. This 2D action-adventure doesn't just ape the ultra-adorable aesthetic of 2019's Link's Awakening remake, it also features many of the signature hallmarks of Zelda's classic series, from the heart-based health system down to the abundance of long grass to slash through. Yet while Misplaced might not be particularly original, its familiar formula certainly has the potential to please a crowd, which is why it's a RoJam selection in the Audience Choice category. Let's see what got the game into the competition and why its developers might emerge from the RoJam dungeon 50,000 rupees richer. Not a lot is known about the broader narrative of Misplaced, but the basic setup seems to have been torn straight out of a Hyrule history book. An impish and conspicuously left-handed hero arrives in a foreign land that's presently under threat from a mysterious evil, and only he can summon the courage and the ever-expanding inventory screen full of tools required to defeat it. Along the way, there'll be no shortage of fetch quests to complete, dungeons to puzzle through, and countless clay pots to needlessly destroy. Though, at least in this hour-long early build of the game, there's a disappointing lack of chickens to harass. There are, however, a nice variety of environments to explore, from wandering through the sun-kissed crops of the Token tiny village to slowly creeping by torchlight through dark woods shrouded in fog. As was the case with the Link's Awakening remake, almost every element of the world looks as though it was carefully constructed out of plastic pieces that tumbled out of a toy box. It's certainly easy on the eyes, although the names for its people and places currently lack a bit of personality. For example, one of the first characters you meet is an old man called Old Man, and later you arrive in an ice-covered world called Ice World. The first weapons you get your hands on are equally unremarkable, a wooden sword and shield, but they're still fun to use. The shield can be employed to deflect projectile attacks from the Octorok-inspired enemies, or to push otherwise immovable objects like giant spiked balls in order to access new areas. It also brings an engaging twitchiness to fights with the heavily armored knights, since the only way to tackle them head-on is by timing your block to parry their attacks in order to briefly open them up to a deadly counter. While certain other tools are less inspiring to wield, like the large hammer that can only be used to knock down occasional square pegs that obstruct your path, there are some devices that suggest the foundations of Misplaced may be more dynamic than they initially appear. Perhaps taking inspiration from a more modern Zelda game in Breath of the Wild, a torch can be used to set thorny vegetation alight, and its flames will spread to engulf other plants and grass nearby, which might prove to have some enjoyably unpredictable effects on combat. Other items like a fire rod and magnet are hinted at in Misplaced's first trailer, with the latter presumably used to manipulate this interesting ball-based puzzle found in the opening hour of the game. Bombs, boomerangs, and a bow and arrow? Yep, it's more than likely they'll all be in here too, and admittedly, there's a concern that you've seen all that Misplaced has to offer before. Unless, of course, you've never owned a Nintendo system. That seems to be exactly what Clear Sky Games is banking on, since Misplaced is intended to launch on both the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X to audiences that are perhaps not as accustomed to the established adventures of Link. Currently a team of only 2 members, Clear Sky Games is promising to expand their studio should they win the Rogue Jam prize. If they're able to take these tried and tested Zelda fundamentals and bring some more innovation to the experience, making it more of a knockout than a knockoff, then Misplaced could yet become a legend in its own right.
E3 press conferences are designed to do one thing: make fans of video games get so hyped they jump out of their seats clapping and cheering. However, not all E3 press conferences are created equally. Some are tedious and padded, while others are just laughably awkward. But the great ones, well, they go down in history as some of the most awesome moments in our industry. Here are the top 10 best E3 press conferences of all time. Get hyped. Ubisoft press conferences are not exactly known for being tonally consistent. They often whiplash between 40-person live musical numbers celebrating the Just Dance franchise and dry and clinical explanations of how you'll kill various enemies in The Division. But every now and then, some truly magical moments happen. In 2017, Ubisoft shocked fans with a stunning demo of Beyond Good and Evil 2, along with Far Cry 5, the bold and seemingly more down-to-earth new entry in the series, but there was one moment that stole the show. Ubisoft officially unveiled Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle for Nintendo Switch by bringing legendary game designer Shigeru Miyamoto on stage. Miyamoto was no stranger to E3 press conferences, but what made this one so special was the game's creative director and gigantic Nintendo fan, Davide Soliani, sitting front row in the crowd with tears running down his face, watching Miyamoto unveil his creation.
で、ただ、ダビデさんに会った時にね、ダビデさんに一つだけお願いしたんです。
So when I met Davide-san, who is the creative director of this game. Yes.
At E3, it's usually up to the fans to get emotional over the big moments, but Ubisoft's E3 2017 presentation proved that game developers are also some of the biggest video game fans on Earth. While E3 officially began in the year 1995, it wasn't until 2015 when Maryland-based video game studio Bethesda decided to start having their own dedicated annual E3 press conference. Many fans wondered if Bethesda could sustain a full presentation full of game announcements, but those fears were quickly squashed when they brought out some of their biggest guns. Bethesda's 2015 conference had a brand new look at the newly rebooted Doom alongside its release date, followed by the reveal of a Dishonored sequel, but the conference was really about celebrating one of their biggest franchises, Fallout. Fans got to see tons of Fallout 4 and learn that it would be released that November. On top of that, Fallout fans got 2 more surprises as well. Fallout Shelter, a post-apocalyptic vault simulator that was released on mobile for free right after the conference, and a real-life Pip-Boy set to launch alongside Fallout 4. The latter didn't really work as anticipated, but at that moment, every Fallout fan in the room went crazy for it. Microsoft's 2009 E3 press conference was utterly star-studded with guest presenters from Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr to Tony Hawk, Steven Spielberg, Hideo Kojima, and Cliff Bleszinski, just to name a few. In terms of games, it was equally jam-packed. The event showcased new trailers for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Crackdown 2, Left 4 Dead 2, Splinter Cell Conviction, Final Fantasy 13, Shadow Complex, Alan Wake, Forza Motorsport 3, Metal Gear Rising, Halo 3 ODST, and Halo Reach. The lineup helped to continue to solidify the Xbox 360 as a force to be reckoned with. It also gave us the rather awkward Kinect reveal, but the less time we spend remembering those parts, the better. Seriously, just don't remember those parts. Don't even think about them. Considering that Devolver's annual E3 booth consists of a cookout held in a parking lot across the street from the convention center, no one was quite sure what their idea of a press conference would be like. In addition to revealing some new indie games, Devolver's 2017 faux live E3 press conference was an absurdist skewering of every other event on this list. We're used to seeing excessive amounts of blood in E3 demos, but it's a bit of a surprise to see E3 presenters soaked in buckets of it. And let's face it, while E3 press conferences are often filled with incredible moments and huge announcements, they're also sometimes plagued with PowerPoint presentations about user metrics or corporate synergy speak. So having Devolver make an absurdist and surreal parody of them was a breath of fresh air.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we have shown you here today is only the beginning. Tomorrow's unethical business practices today, the future of video games, and the futures.
With the PlayStation 4 dominating hardware sales last generation, Microsoft needed an E3 press conference that proved the Xbox One was worth owning as well, and 2015 gave us just that. The Xbox Showcase gave us new looks at Halo 5 Guardians, Forza Motorsport 6, The Division, Rainbow Six Siege, Dark Souls 3, Sea of Thieves, Rare Replay, Fable Legends, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Gears of War 4. It was an awesome lineup of first-party and third-party games, and if that wasn't enough, they also unveiled the brand new Elite controller and announced that a slew of Xbox 360 games were coming to the console via a backwards compatibility initiative. It was a presentation truly focused on games, a much welcome pivot after the Xbox's initial reliance on things like Kinect. Sony's E3 2015 was all about making dreams come true, and not just because they showed Dreams, the ambitious new game-making project from Media Molecule, it was also where they unveiled a trio of games that made fans go absolutely crazy, namely The Last Guardian, Shenmue 3, and a stunning new remake of the classic and iconic JRPG, Final Fantasy VII. This conference was also where Killzone developer Guerrilla Games debuted their awesome-looking new open-world game, Horizon Zero Dawn, featuring lush environments and epic battles against gigantic robot dinosaurs. The PS4 was hitting its stride, and there were tons of great new games to look forward to on the horizon. No pun intended. With the Nintendo Switch already out, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild having cemented itself as one of the greatest launch games in video game history, Nintendo fans wondered what was coming next to Nintendo Switch, and 2017 gave them answers. We learned about Super Mario Odyssey, Mario's fantastic return to full-fledged 3D platforming, along with big games like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, a new Pokemon RPG from Game Freak, and new DLC for Breath of the Wild. The most surprising announcement, though, was the reveal of Metroid Prime 4. Sure, it was only a logo and some sound effects, and 4 years later it's still just a logo and some sound effects, but right then and there, it was pure joy and proof that Nintendo still cared about the Metroid franchise. In 2016, Sony kicked off their E3 conference with a gigantic new announcement, a rebooted take on God of War that was in the works for PlayStation 4, and the stunning gameplay demo immediately proved that the game was going to be something special. And Sony was just getting started. We also got our first look at Days Gone, a massive open-world game from Sony Bend, a release date for PlayStation VR, plus a first look at Resident Evil 7's VR mode. And even more, we got our first looks at Insomniac's brand new Spider-Man game, Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding, Batman Arkham VR, and a release date for the long-delayed game, The Last Guardian. Finally. As you've definitely seen by now, E3 press conferences are loud, raucous, expensive, and over-the-top stage shows filled with a million moving parts. So it's interesting that one of the craziest E3 moments was seemingly filmed on a phone in a dimly lit room. This 22-second video showed how easy it was to share games on the PS4 compared to Microsoft's approach with Xbox. It was a snarky and hilarious roast of the competition, and it also came with the reveal that Sony was undercutting the cost of the Xbox One by $100. Sure, there were game announcements like Destiny and Final Fantasy XV, but the PS4 price reveal and the quick and funny video on game sharing resonated so much with gamers that they might very well be the reason that the PlayStation 4 went on to win that entire console generation, and the Xbox One had to play catch up for the next 7 years. After an incredibly lackluster E3 2003, you know, the one where GBA connectivity and Pac-Man Verse headlined the show, Nintendo's E3 press conference in 2004 set out to create a bold new path for the company, and it delivered like no Nintendo E3 had before. The presentation showcased Metroid Prime Echoes, Resident Evil 4, The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, and the Nintendo DS, a bold new dual-screen handheld designed to play touchscreen games on the go. Nintendo also teased their upcoming home console, codenamed Revolution, which would later go on to become the Nintendo Wii. Most importantly though, the company had a powerful new stage presence thanks to the introduction of Reggie Fils-Aimé, a man who instantly went on to become a Nintendo fan favorite for years to come.
My name is Reggie. I'm about kicking ass. I'm about taking names. And we're about making games.
But Nintendo saved the best for last when they revealed The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, a gritty, mature, and tonally dark take on Zelda that made the crowd go absolutely wild with excitement, creating one of, if not the greatest new game reveal moments in E3 history. The reaction even became an incredibly popular meme, which you've probably seen kicking around. The surprise Twilight Princess unveiling brought fans to tears, and it was all capped off with Shigeru Miyamoto taking to the stage holding Link's iconic sword and shield. It was truly what E3 is all about. And those are the best E3 press conferences ever. Well, so far at least, the best E3 moments may be yet to come. So what was your favorite E3 press conference of all time? Which surprising new game reveal or long-awaited sequel announcement made you jump for joy and scream at your screen? Let us know in the comments below, and for all things E3 and video games in general, stick with IGN.
Exploration platformers, or platformer adventures, doesn't quite roll off the tongue like the name for the genre that you probably know, Metroidvanias. Whatever you call it, there's been an incredible collection of Metroidvanias in the last decade, some of which that would even give the forefathers of the genre a run for their money. For this list, we specifically wanted to leave Samus and Alucard out of it, and let the non-Metroids and Castlevanias have some time in the spotlight. So with that in mind, let's take a look at our picks for the top 10 Metroidvanias that aren't actually a Metroid or Castlevania. But before we get to it, one more quick ground rule. 3D games like Batman Arkham Asylum, Tomb Raider, and to an extent, depending on the definition you use, even the Resident Evil games could technically, sort of fall under the genre of Metroidvanias. So, for the purpose of this list, we're keeping things to 2D and 2.5D games exclusively. Like, I know, please don't be mad, Batman. Hitting Xbox Live Arcade back in 2009, Shadow Complex was the right game at the right time to reinvigorate the Metroidvania genre. An excellent blend of sci-fi action with a compelling story, satisfying progression, and its 2.5D perspective offered some of the best graphics that we'd seen in the genre to date. It was a refreshing update to a beloved style of game that, at least in 2009, seemed to have fallen out of favor with developers and the public at large. It would go on to become one of the highest selling Xbox Live Arcade games of all time, and a remastered version hit PC in 2015 and consoles the next year. Blasphemous introduces you to the sprawling and hauntingly beautiful Svistodia, a 16-bit world teeming with secrets in every corner. Despite its beauty, it is also a world overrun by truly horrific and difficult bosses blocking your path. And to make matters more trying, and ultimately more rewarding, Blasphemous tantalizes players with items and upgrades often dangling just out of reach. These are almost always accompanied by an inactive piece of the environment that becomes instantly recognizable, goading you into a search for a way to find bundles of roots into bridges, or blood trails into platforms. The quest to uncover these environment-transforming relics are almost as enthralling as progressing through the main story of Blasphemous, ensuring that you'll rarely want to leave any stone unturned as you explore one of the most memorable lands in the genre. Much like how olive oil and ice cream are somehow a bizarrely complementary duo, Yoku's Island Express combines two wildly different flavors of game to create something totally unique that leaves us yearning for more after its delightful adventure. Yoku takes the complexity of a Metroidvania and applies it to the rigid structure of pinball. It forces players to rethink everything they know about platforming, with movement being a combo of familiar 2D navigation and pinball flourishes, like paddles that send you flying around on your collectible quest. It makes that surprising mix work like a charm while simultaneously drip-feeding teases of upgrades to come through inaccessible areas that whiz by while you're rocketing off a bumper. The cherry on top of this strange concoction of unusual genres is the setup. You are the brand new mailbug of a small tropical island, and primarily, you're there to deliver mail. The hand-painted art style, witty writing, and cheerful tunes keep you smiling, all while pulling off careful skill shots to progress through Yoku's unexpected but memorable world. Cave Story was created by a single developer, Daisuke Pixel Amaya. That in and of itself is worth bringing up only because Cave Story is a massive achievement, with a sprawling world, fleshed out lore, and beloved characters. From unique weapons to an overworld that's filled to the brim with creativity, every part of Cave Story feels lovingly handcrafted. But don't let that cuddly cast fool you. Cave Story will break your heart and mend it back together by the time the journey ends. Decades later, and Cave Story still feels like a treasure. And as one of the most famous freeware games, it's easy to download and play today, and at an unbeatable price to play a piece of gaming history. It's no wonder fans have been waiting so excitedly for Axiom Verge 2, given how expertly Axiom Verge serves as a love letter to Metroidvanias of the past. The one-man designed adventure from developer Thomas Happ provides players with an inventive arsenal of weapons and abilities, but this throwback never feels dated as you drill, teleport, and pixel nuke throughout your adventure on the alien world of Sudra. Combine that with a fantastic sense of progression that makes backtracking and uncovering new areas a consistent joy, and an intriguing and mysterious plot that will keep you guessing, and Axiom Verge is easily one of the best Metroidvanias around. It may be inspired by games released years prior, but it can still sit among the best of that or any era. SteamWorld Dig 2 isn't the only Metroidvania on this list that sends you exploring underground, but it is the one that requires you to dig your way through its sprawling world. That digging gameplay loop is by no means a chore though. It's a total blast. Bore as far down as you can, return to town to harvest your resources, upgrade your gear, and you're off to happily do it all again. It's so satisfying that it's easy to fall into the mindset of just one more run, turning into 4 or 5. And with that 10-hour runtime, it never outstays its welcome. Upgrades are plentiful enough to be a near constant reward system, and the various upgrade paths allow for some welcome customization in how you build out your robotic heroine. It also helps that the finely tuned controls make maneuvering around its caverns as smooth and as enjoyable as the act of actually mining. Not mining in real life, god, that sounds exhausting. In-game mining. Add in some optional puzzle rooms that reward you with bonus upgrade items, and SteamWorld 2 is a dig-down Metroidvania you won't want to put down. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is the closest we come to cheating the no Castlevania rule, but it's too good of an experience to ignore. Koji Igarashi, a father of the genre, set out to make a new game in the vein of the best-loved Castlevania, and by Dracula, he did it. This Kickstarter success story takes elements from all of the great Castlevania games and combines them into one neatly tied together package. It uses the equipment system from Symphony of the Night, the shard system that lets you assume magical abilities of enemies a la Dawn of Sorrow, and more. Add on top of that the option to play a completely different character after completing it, tons of hidden content, and a slew of other intriguing inclusions. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night taps into that special late 90s, early 2000s era of Castlevania that is beloved by so many to create something thrilling in its own right. Guacamelee 2 punches up nearly every aspect of the original, expanding on what worked with new skills, a new, ludicrous, and meta story, and one damn charming Metroidvania from beginning to end. At the heart of what makes Guacamelee 2 so clever is its combination of level design and its platforming fundamentals. Eventually, all of your actions, from uppercuts that boost you upward to sideways lunges, work twofold. The combination of right attacks against certain enemies is essential to racking up combos and surviving combat sections, but all of those moves are also necessary to pull off the increasingly complex platforming sections. And while you're exploring Guacamelee 2's world, uncovering more of its map as either Juan the Luchador or Juan the Chicken, don't ignore the optional side challenges you'll come across. They're some of Guacamelee 2's most difficult but purest platforming sections, and they're some of the most rewarding to pull off. Throw in a new hookshot ability, unlockable skill trees that encourage you to explore more of its wonderful, vibrant world, and some genuinely hilarious stories, and Guacamelee 2 may have you crying in laughter as much as it may make you tear up from its most challenging levels. Either Ori game could have comfortably landed on this list, but the sequel, Will of the Wisps, takes an already stunning game and makes it even more robust. No other series looks or sounds quite like Ori does, with a gorgeous world full of vibrant landscapes and strange creatures complemented by some of the best game music around. Flowing through those areas with its diverse suite of movement abilities can almost become a Zen practice, hopping between grab points and whipping dangerously close to death as you do. Will of the Wisps elevates all the aspects that made the first game great as well, partly by borrowing some ideas from the #1 game on this list. The introduction of equipable items to enhance your preferred playstyle, and an adorable little town for you to grow, full of friendly faces, adds more layer and nuance to the world, and your character. Its combat is also more fleshed out, coupled with a story even more grand and ambitious than the originals. Ori sticks out from what most people usually picture when they think of Metroidvanias, thanks to its warm, inviting look. But it's that unique take on a well-explored genre that makes it stand so tall above the rest. Well, except for one. Even when compared against actual Castlevania and Metroid games, Hollow Knight would still probably be pretty close to the top of a list. It's a Metroidvania that takes influence and inspiration from plenty of clear places, but combines those concepts with countless fresh ideas of its own to make something truly incredible. And it's the combination of all of those individual parts that makes the whole so much more impressive. Its charming hand-drawn art style, its haunting soundtrack, its flexible combat systems, its satisfying movement mechanics, and the mysterious catacombs, the list goes on, as all those aspects and more are packed in to work in beautiful tandem. Hollow Knight is filled to the brim with interesting decisions to make the whole way through, too. From choosing to go left or right first, to deciding whether or not to challenge the imposing optional boss, or to figuring out which of the many charms you should use to modify your playstyle. As a result, its exploration and unlocks feel personal, providing a natural sense of progression to its meticulously laid out halls. And don't let the appearance of its tiny bugs fool you. Hollow Knight's world is a sprawling subterranean maze that gives you plenty of paths to chase down and creative enemies to fight to keep you exploring for dozens of hours. Hollow Knight is without a doubt a modern classic. And that's our list. What are some of your favorite Metroidvanias? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and while you're here, why not take a look at some of our other top 10s, like the top 10 Souls-likes or the top 10 Mario levels. And for everything else, keep it here on IGN. Sonic's done a lot in 30 years. He's been a pioneer of the high-speed 2D platformer, an Olympic athlete, a respectable kart racing enthusiast, a fighter, a TV star, and a Hollywood blockbuster movie star as well. But he's never done open world, and Sonic Frontiers fixes to change that. I was fortunate enough to be one of the first people outside of Sonic Team to go hands-on with Sonic Frontiers, and let me just say, if you're worried about how the blue blur will fare in this unfamiliar genre, well, I think Crush 40 probably put it best. Open your heart It's gonna be alright. The first thing that struck me about Sonic Frontiers was how uniquely somber and serene it was right from the outset. After flying into a wormhole with Tails and Amy, Sonic finds himself separated from his friends and all alone on an isolated island, with nothing but an AI voice guiding him to collect the Chaos Emeralds. There's no one for Sonic to bounce quips off of, no energetic Crush 40 soundtrack, just wide open fields as far as the eye can see. There's an air of mystery in Sonic Frontiers, and it's a vibe that's driven home even further by the beautiful yet minimalist piano melodies that accompany Sonic as he explores the island. All of this is a very intentional choice. I asked Sonic Team head Takashi Iizuka to describe how the tone of Sonic Frontiers differs from previous Sonic games, and he said, past games in the Sonic series have taken different tones depending on their stories and themes. This time, these mysterious islands are the game's major setting. That's why our artists have worked hard to create a mysterious mood. Of course, the big new change in Sonic Frontiers is the shift from purely linear levels to a huge open world where Sonic can freely run in any direction. But Sonic Team doesn't like to use the term open world to describe Sonic Frontiers' gameplay, instead referring to its style as being open zone. Open world games like Zelda or other AAA games fundamentally have RPG or adventure worlds. For Sonic, the core here is a 3D action game. Our basic idea was to have that take place in open space. What sets Sonic Frontiers apart is this different approach to an open game world. Having played Sonic Frontiers for about 4 hours, it's easy to see what Iizuka-san means. Sonic Frontiers' open zone design is very different from any other open world I've played. It's a giant playground. Every few feet there's a bumper spring that bounces you like a pinball between 5 other bumpers before putting you on one of the many grindable rail tracks. Or a speed ramp that sets you on a completely different path leading to some other collectible or reward. Or a line of rings that you can lightspeed dash into. Essentially, they've taken that core appeal of every Sonic level having multiple paths that eventually loop back around to the main one, and applied that to these giant non-linear open zones. One thing that has to be noted is that very few of these elements are built into the environmental design, meaning that rails, platforms, boost rings, and so on are just inexplicably floating in the air all around, which isn't totally unusual for a Sonic game, but it feels especially jarring in Frontiers in particular because of the frequent and sudden pop-in of these objects and the otherwise very naturalistic art style. Of course, it's worth emphasizing that this gameplay and the version that I played were from an early build, but this is definitely an area that I would hope to see improvement in the final version. Beyond that, there are also a wide variety of puzzles and challenges that are littered throughout the zone, and completing them is how you uncover sections of your map. Most of these are very simple, requiring you to orient a statue the correct way, quickly hop back and forth between colored tiles, or use Sonic's new side loop ability to draw circles around certain objects in the environment to interact with them. The best ones though are the races against the clock where you have to get from point A to point B in a limited amount of time. The openness of Frontiers level design makes straightforward races like these a ton of fun, because you have to try and improvise a path to the end that might not be immediately obvious. There are some exceptions, but combat in traditional Sonic games generally isn't a thing that goes much deeper than jumping, rolling, or using a homing attack into enemies at the right time. That changes in Sonic Frontiers, which now has you fighting all sorts of wandering enemies and mini-bosses using an all-new array of incredibly flashy attacks. It's not all style and no substance though. Sonic is able to quickly dodge using the bumper buttons on the gamepad, and by pressing them together, he can even parry attacks with the right timing. His homing attack also feels much more powerful, landing with a ton of impact and keeping Sonic stuck to his enemy, allowing for a flurry of follow-up strikes. One of the things that I really appreciate about the combat from what I played is that there are usually multiple ways to deal with specific enemies. Like, take for example this guy, who has an impenetrable shell that he can expand into spinning blades and throw at you. One way to deal with him is just to carefully time your homing attacks so you don't get hit by the blades. But if you do that, the window to damage him is small. To increase that window, you can either parry the blades and knock them away right before they hit you, or you can even use Sonic's side loop ability to encircle the enemy, which causes the shell to go flying upwards. Defeating these enemies will reward you with EXP that you can use to purchase new skills from a skill tree, which gives Sonic Frontiers a really nice feeling of power progression, even in just the relatively short amount of time that I played. Some of the later skills that you can get are just unbelievably cool, and it's super satisfying to see Sonic Team experiment with different ways that Sonic can attack enemies beyond just spins, jumps, and bumps. In addition to these smaller enemies, there are also a handful of enormous world bosses that I had to contend with. These are near Shadow of the Colossus-esque in their scale, with one in particular against a beast named Asura requiring Sonic to bait the Titan to slam the ground and then boost up its arm in order to reach the weak spots on its head. It's an ambitious boss battle, far beyond anything I've seen in the Sonic series to date, but it's also the part of the game that needs the most work. Far too often I'd fly off the boss's arm without knowing why, or I'd get to the top and for some reason lack the momentum needed to actually reach the head. Sonic must hunt down and defeat these bosses in order to collect portal gears, which open up portals that lead to bite-sized linear stages, done in the style of previous Sonic games, giving Sonic Frontiers a nice mix of both old and new styles. These classic levels each come with a handful of optional goals, like beating the level under a certain time, collecting all the red rings, and so on, with each goal rewarding you with a vault key, which are needed to unlock the coveted Chaos Emeralds. Sonic Frontiers is an exciting new step forward for the Sonic series into uncharted territory, and based on my time with it, Sonic Team seems to have hit upon a winning formula. There's certainly still work to be done before it's released during the holiday season. There's a lot of distracting pop-in, there's a fair amount of bugs still left to be squashed, and the big boss fights could do with some tweaking. But ultimately, my time with this early build answered the one question I had on my mind. Will Sonic's one-of-a-kind gameplay translate into an open world? The answer is a resounding absolutely. Thanks for watching, and tune into IGN for more Sonic Frontiers coverage as part of IGN First. And for everything else, keep it here on IGN.
IGN sat down with US Army Motor Transportation Specialist and gamer Sergeant Tang Wen Pham to react to the different transportation tools available courtesy of Bridges in Death Stranding Director's Cut. Presented by the US Army.
I'm an 88 Mike, Motor Transportation Specialist. Just like this main character in Death Stranding, his main role is transportation, and that's what I do in the Army. I want to see what this guy drives. Looks pretty high tech. Oh, what? If I were to drive that reverse strike, I would take it anywhere. Like, there's nowhere I wouldn't take it. You know, on dirt roads, just ramps maybe if I get that good. But that's pretty cool. I will say the cargo it's pretty heavy. So one little, like at that moment right there, he would have tipped over because how heavy that cargo is. Oh, it actually kind of reminds me of Allen TV, and the way it can lift up, that can go through. Like it's going through water right now, like nothing. I drive a lot of trucks, so my favorite one would probably be the trike. I just like how it can pretty much just glide through, like using a ramp, and also the dual wheels in the front, he can land pretty safely.
You can choose from over 200 career paths that match your passion on GoArmy.com. What's your warrior? Death Stranding Director's Cut is available on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC. For more on Death Stranding, keep it here on IGN. No matter how you game, make sure you're operating at peak performance. Unleash the power of the Samsung 980 Pro PCIe 4.0 NVMe SSD for next-level computing and double the data transfer rate of PCIe 3.0. It's 12 times faster than Samsung SATA SSDs, making for a whole new user experience. The 980 Pro pushes the limits of SSD technology thanks to write speeds of up to 7,000 megabytes a second, and the new Samsung in-house controller designed to harmonize flash memory components and the interface for superior speed. And even better, it's easy to install. Boost your PC performance, load games faster and more reliably, no matter how intensive the workload. The Samsung SSD 980 Pro and 980 Pro with heatsink are proud partners of IGN's Summer of Gaming.
IGN Summer of Gaming Expo, a showcase of brand new game reveals, exclusive gameplay, and surprise announcements of the coolest games of the future. Hosted by IGN's Damon Hatfield and Nars. So sit back, get comfortable, and get ready to celebrate the incredible world of video games because IGN's Summer of Gaming Expo begins right now.
Was that a Xeno?
The corpse was definitely a xenomorph, slain in combat.
My God. Are those engineers? What killed them? And how?
Xenos coming in! What the hell are those? Something big's approaching your position!
What's up, everybody, and welcome to IGN's Summer of Gaming Expo. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Nars.
Thank you so much, Damon. All month long, IGN is giving you a front row seat for the biggest gaming events and whatever is going on in games, whether that's IGN.com, Twitch, YouTube, the IGN One app on your smart TV, and now you can even watch us on Steam.
We just kicked things off with a brand new world premiere trailer for the upcoming Aliens Fireteam Elite Pathogen expansion. If you like that, stick around because we'll be closing out the show with a developer interview, giving you a closer look at what's in store for those Colonial Marines. I have a sneaking suspicion it involves more xenomorphs.
We've got a ton of stuff to show you in the IGN Expo, so let's get right into it.
It's the end of the line for you, Grave.
へ飛び出そう君と手と手つないで世界史平線の底この星助ける虹が君を待っている無機質な体が君の胸に輝くみんなの絆が宝物さ頑張れ隠れ暗闇の中一人でも心はつながってるよ感じて戦い傷つき方に進む君はヒーロー一緒にいるよどこまでも思いを力に変えて
Wait. Are you seriously going to ignore the real star of the show? You know, me? Cesaria, the Grim Reaper, at your service. Are there any snacks here? No? I'm leaving. Wait, so you're dead? Sweet. Your ancestors are like super laughing at you right now. Stop being a jerk and just subscribe already.
Next up, if you're fond of old school pixel art, like this guy, stay right where you are because we're checking out some trailers for games that keep things looking nice and retro. First up, There Is No Light. Sounds dark. Let's take a look.
Only then, after the echoes of the crowd's applause have faded into silence, can music begin anew. Got to keep moving.
Being a bishop ain't easy. It takes a toll in ways you can't imagine.
I go now to a better world. Erebus is part of the journey, but there's more. There are things that the living cannot understand.
I'm leaving, Seth. I'm beginning my final voyage.
Demons. Damn you. Feel Shale's power!
Be there for your brother, Ezekiel. He'll be there for you when the time comes.
The cost of my past sins. My daughter's spirit trapped within a silver locket by an evil being of the underworld. Now there was only one thing left to do.
What is happening?
The dead are rising.
All systems online. Structure critical.
Oh hey, it's you again! This is IGN's Summer of Gaming Expo, and you just saw brand new trailers for There Is No Light and Core Keeper, along with No Place for Bravery, Project Warlock 2, Sacrifier, Rose and Locke, and Verge World. Phew, that was a lot. Hopefully you're brave enough to be left unsupervised for a couple minutes because we need to take a quick break. If anything goes wrong, the emergency numbers are on the fridge. Be good. IGN Summer of Gaming Expo will be right back.
IGN Summer of Gaming 2022 is presented by the US Army. You can choose from over 200 career paths that match your passion on GoArmy.com. What's your warrior? And sponsored by Metro by T-Mobile.
In a world with non-stop news about Marvel, Netflix, and Star Wars, you need a show with accurate reporting, hard-hitting commentary, and me. I'm Akeem Lawanson, the host of The Fix Entertainment. Whether it's the latest superhero scoop, film fiasco, or anime announcement, I'll be right here covering all the latest in major studio headlines and pop culture news. Make sure to catch The Fix Entertainment wherever you watch IGN.
IGN Playlist is all of your games in one place. You can build your library and discover new games. Create and follow playlists from friends. Access guides for what you're playing. And rate and rank the games you love to share with the world. Available free with your IGN account. It's for players, no matter where you play.
Tune into IGN 1 for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle. And maybe even some you can't.
Cinefix on IGN 1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Find it all in one place on IGN 1.
They turned into a network, who knew?
If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, memes, the best user-generated videos and art, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat.
Welcome back to IGN's Summer of Gaming Expo. Now, Halloween isn't for a few months, but luckily, horror games are great all year round. So scaredy cats, this is your chance to hide under the blankets. Everyone else, brace yourselves. Let's take a look at some terrifying new games coming soon to consoles and PC.
I'll end up losing my mind. I cannot trust anyone, not even Albert. If you are listening to this, Blue Knees is real. I know I'm not sick. I know I don't have much time left. Over and over and over and over.
In the deepest caverns beneath the kingdom, where the light of the cruel moon cannot reach, Grey Irma, the fierce warrior and protagonist of Moonscars, searches for a mystery that will bring her closer to the truth of her world and of herself. Welcome to the Earth Bowels. The Earth Bowels is one of the areas you will discover further on in your journey. It is an ancient place filled with long-buried secrets. Secrets connected to not only the sculptor, but Mother Earth herself and the cruel goddess, the Moon. The caverns are filled with twisting corridors and treacherous chasms. To navigate them, you will first need to discover the ability to dash through the air at supernatural speed. The bowels play host to all manner of foul beings that threaten to end your journey. Gilded foes, vulnerable only to witchery. Creatures capable of corrupting your very ichor. Vicious warlords who command armies of underlings. And ultimately, a comrade in arms from your past. Laios, fellow soldier of the pristine squad now turned. His attacks are mighty enough to shake the very earth. And you'll have to discover his weakness for yourself. On your own journey to meet your maker.
To survive on this island, you'll need more than just a gun. You will need a camera.
You just gotta look at Madison, Autopsy, The Unliving, those are two different games, Moonscars, and Outbreak Island right here on IGN's Summer of Gaming. If you manage to survive that many scary trailers back to back, surely you can brave the wilds of these three upcoming survival and crafting games. Here's Void Train.
Build and expand your own train while traveling through the void in solo or online co-op with up to 4 players. Now with a larger variety of islands, enhanced weapon system, new dangers, puzzles, and void creatures. Void Train is coming to Steam October 2022. Currently available on the Epic Games Store.
You did it! You successfully made it through our gauntlet of survival and crafting games. That was Void Train, Forever Skies, and Wanderlust. Up next, we're kicking things up a notch, checking out some action games.
But first, we need to take a break, but it's a quick one because there's much more to come. Stick around because IGN's Summer of Gaming Expo will be right back after this. Mana is the debit card and financial solution made specifically for your lifestyle. It's tailored for people who enjoy gaming, entertainment, and earning rewards. Let's take a closer look at Mana.
Ready to game the system? Meet Mana. You slay. You achieve. You win. So should your bank account, because your power shouldn't stop when the game does. Mana is the best gaming rewards debit card where you can earn perks and points by paying and playing, and get rewarded with the things you actually want. And we make it easy to set up and start. Just sync your favorite games to your Mana account and start completing quests for next level rewards, like that skin you can't wait to show off, or your next gear upgrade. No gimmicks, no surprises, no kidding. So why pay any other way? Pay with Mana. Pay with power. Mana. Game the system.
IGN Summer of Gaming 2022 is presented by The Terminal List. Watch the action-filled psychological thriller starring Chris Pratt only on Prime Video July 1st. And presented by The Callisto Protocol on PlayStation, coming December 2nd, 2022. Pre-order now.
I'm Akeem Lawanson, and this is What to Watch on IGN 1. It's a weekly show where we check out the latest and greatest in trailers, reviews, and everything else in the world of entertainment. Tune in to new episodes every Friday at 9 p.m. on IGN 1.
What's up, everybody? I'm Stella Chung, and you're about to get your weekly fix. This is the show where we round up all the biggest gaming and entertainment headlines you won't want to miss. Tune into new episodes every Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on IGN 1.
IGN Playlist is all of your games in one place. You can build your library and discover new games. Create and follow playlists from friends. Access guides for what you're playing. And rate and rank the games you love to share with the world. Available free with your IGN account. It's for players, no matter where you play.
The only thing better than listening to IGN podcasts is watching them. Luckily, all your favorite weekly shows are here on IGN 1. Whether you're chasing the latest Xbox releases with Unlocked, looking for your PlayStation fix with Beyond, tracking everything coming to Switch with Nintendo Voice Chat, or catching up on this week's gaming news with GameScoop, we've got you covered.
Check it out.
Tune in every weekday at 5 p.m. for the best gaming coverage right here on IGN 1.
Welcome back to IGN Summer of Gaming, the most action-packed summer gaming event around, but it's about to get even more packed with action. Here's a block of action games. Just got real.
Today,
Dowa Synthetics is launching a new institute.
Dowa today introduced the drone.
So we ran a few tests. DNA, retina scan, fingers, nothing.
This is not like the last time. I have powerful friends now, bitch.
You're not a regular cop. Cops don't wear sneakers.
I do.
She doesn't know, does she? Tell me, what happens when she learns the truth?
Mix it with both hands, unless you have only one.
You feel pain?
Do you? Violent protests continue.
Mistakes are being made. Sometimes it's not up to us.
Latest battle droid.
Observe.
Police. Sometimes they wake you up, you know? With memories of yesterday.
Stone.
Dead policemen, a crashed helicopter, dead fucking androids, no survivors.
Just another day in the office.
Lock and load.
Welcome to Carnage Corp, where we start you on the path to being a better monster. Just follow these simple steps. Smash, bash, and stomp your way to success. But watch out for falling debris. An accident-free worksite is a happy worksite. Whether it's tanks, battleships, or the latest kaiju defense technology, the smart monster is vigilant with one eye peeled for anything. Anything. Clothes make the monster. Be sharp and find your own style. Don't forget to stretch. You don't want to get a cramp out there. Here at Carnage Corporation, we put people first. We reward hard work, ingenuity, and good taste. Congratulations, you're now one step closer to being your beast self.
You ready to be protectors? Let me show you what a shock trooper can do.
Here comes another!
I'm here to finish the mission, no matter what.
I'll end this! Check out how strong my body is!
My strength has no match!
You just got a look at Wanted Dead, Block and Load, Blockbuster VR, Trail Out, Hype Squad, and Glitch Busters. Be sure to sign up for Block and Load's closed beta. But there's plenty more of IGN Summer of Gaming Expo where that came from. Up next is a game where you can play until the cows come home because it's a game about cows. Here's Quiet Farm.
Astral child, awake. The cosmos is in danger. Heroes may die, but their legends live forever. Build a new world together and keep order amongst the stars. For this, we look to you, our Star Keepers.
You just caught trailers for Quiet Farm, Ship of Fools, Gory, Cuddly Carnage, and the world premiere of Star Keepers right here on IGN Summer of Gaming Expo.
If that was too much excitement, relax. This next game looks extremely chill. Here's a look at Coral Island.
Hello again. You're watching IGN Summer of Gaming, and we just checked out Coral Island, Roots of Pacha, Super Zoo Story, and Dinkum.
But right now, let's take a quick break. IGN Summer of Gaming Expo. We'll be right back after this.
IGN Summer of Gaming 2022 is sponsored by Metro by T-Mobile and by The Terminal List. Watch the action-filled psychological thriller starring Chris Pratt only on Prime Video July 1st.
IGN Playlist is all of your games in one place. You can build your library and discover new games. Create and follow playlists from friends. Access guides for what you're playing. And rate and rank the games you love to share with the world. Available free with your IGN account. It's for players, no matter where you play. If you're not following IGN on social media, what are you waiting for? We're constantly updating our feeds to bring you the latest news, gameplay, custom original content, memes, the best user-generated videos and art, and a whole lot more. Be part of the conversation throughout the year. Follow IGN on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Snapchat. Tune into IGN 1 for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle. And maybe even some you can't.
Cinefix on IGN 1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Find it all in one place on IGN 1.
They turned into a network. Who knew?
In a world with non-stop news about Marvel, Netflix, and Star Wars, you need a show with accurate reporting, hard-hitting commentary, and me. I'm Akeem Lawanson, the host of The Fix Entertainment. Whether it's the latest superhero scoop, film fiasco, or anime announcement, I'll be right here covering all the latest in major studio headlines and pop culture news. Make sure to catch The Fix Entertainment wherever you watch IGN.
Return to Enoch in the brand new Outriders World Slayer. Either continue your Outriders save file or jump in fresh with the level 30 boost. Here's a sneak peek of what to expect.
Welcome back to IGN Summer of Gaming Expo. Up next, a game that combines gritty, hardcore military realism about the horrors of war and adorable rodents. Here's Rat and Reich.
30 years ago, we thought we had contained the corruption on Earth. We were wrong. The corruption has reached the colonies. If we don't stop it, humanity will have nowhere to hide. With great power, well, you know the rest.
That was a look at Ret and Reich, followed by Beneath Oresa, Orcs, Superfuse, and River City Saga 3 Kingdoms, right here on IGN's Summer of Gaming Expo.
And we still have more trailers. Oh look, here comes one now.
At Younger, we deliver the future. We do it right now.
Skew, do you mind keeping watch? I need a piss.
Yeah, sure. I'm on the lookout.
Yeah, just look away.
Sure, yeah. I'll watch.
I can't go if you're looking.
Coast is clear, mate. There's only me here.
Don't look. That's what I'm saying. Just look away.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You're staring right at my crotch. Skew.
What?
Look away.
Oh, look away. Sorry. A bit mesmerized there. Well, it's interesting, you know. I haven't got one of them. They look very impractical.
No watching.
Who am I going to tell? Yeah? What do you want? I can do trickling stream. I can do waterfall. And I can do rain.
I'll hold it in.
It's been 5 years, 6 months, and 11 days since we settled here. Our ongoing mission, to build a self-sustainable, closed ecosystem that'll guarantee humanity's survival into the impossibly far future. The most brilliant scientific minds of our time work to ensure our species can endure our upcoming challenges, whether it's nuclear devastation or the inhospitable surface of a newly settled exoplanet. To the brilliant minds in here, the outside world is but a distant echo of our primitive past. And despite it all, my greatest fear is upon us. Our mightiest achievement has turned on its creators.
The American illicit drugs market is the biggest in the world. Drug barons control the multi-billion-dollar empire, and Miami is Cocaine City.
Okay, night shift just cleared the building. You've got 60 minutes to log into that cartel terminal and uncover as much of their network as you can.
The biggest of the cartels, Reyes Muertos, uses the World Wide Web to keep their deadly business open 24/7. The American government has been carrying out the world's biggest anti-drugs operation as Western demand for the drug almost exceeds the supply. Special police squads use intelligence reports and, more often than not, their instincts in their search for cartel smugglers. Despite law enforcement's best efforts, greater things are expected.
Damn it, one of the night shift guys just came back. Looks like he's headed your way. Get out of there. This case is blown. Meet me back at the station.
Do you have any idea of the danger?
-1, 6% fuel. 8 feet, -1. Contact.
My God, this can't be real.
Our understanding of the phenomenon grows with every day. However, for one individual in our group, the physiological response has been troubling. We've made a path for you. Please hurry.
Welcome back! This is the IGN Summer of Gaming Expo, and you just got a look at The Last Worker, Evo Tinction, Vice Undercover, and Lifeless Moon. The expo might be coming to a close, but Summer of Gaming continues all throughout June. We'll be bringing you events, announcements, reveals, and more fun stuff from all around the industry, and you'll find it all right here on IGN.
And you can find IGN everywhere. IGN.com, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, the Samsung TV app, and now you can even watch us on our Steam page.
We are winding things down, but we're not done yet. Up next, a brand new multiplayer experience in a beloved universe. Here's The Walking Dead: Last Mile.
Open the gates! Someone, get the dog! I've got a wounded man!
That was The Walking Dead: The Last Mile right here on IGN's Summer of Gaming Expo. But a friendly reminder that Summer of Gaming is going on throughout June.
That's right. Here's a quick look at what's still on the way. Coming up very shortly is day 5 of Netflix's Geeked Week, which is focused on games today, and we still got the Tribeca Games Spotlight and Freedom Games Showcase.
And be sure to join us again for the Guerrilla Collective Showcase, followed by the Wholesome Games Direct and Future of Play Direct, and then the NetEase Games Livestream.
And you definitely won't want to miss the Xbox and Bethesda Showcase on Sunday, followed by the PC Gaming Show.
Whew, it's gonna be a busy weekend. It's time for us to say goodbye, but stick around because after the break, we've got the team behind Aliens Fireteam Elite stopping by to show off the latest expansion.
And of course, a huge thank you to everyone watching at home. We'll see you next time.
IGN Summer of Gaming 2022 is presented by the US Army. You can choose from over 200 career paths that match your passion on GoArmy.com. What's your warrior? And sponsored by Metro by T-Mobile.
What's up, everybody? I'm Stella Chung, and you're about to get your weekly fix. This is the show where we round up all the biggest gaming and entertainment headlines you won't want to miss. Tune into new episodes every Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on IGN1.
IGN is your go-to for the latest and best in games, movies, and television. And with over 50 million IGN subscribers, you're in good company. Thanks to your help, we've raised over $100,000 for charity. Brought you and creators the world over together for events like Gamescom and DC Fandom.
Brenton Thwaites here, I play Dick Grayson.
And made your voices heard. You voted almost 30 million times in our best video game of all time and Super Movie Madness tournaments, and posted over 40 million times on IGN's message boards. The chat must flow. Catch our unending stream of up-to-date news and so much more over at IGN.com or subscribe to IGN on YouTube. And check out IGN Games and IGN Movies and TV for deep dives into your preferred pop culture. Plus, IGN guides to get help on veritably any game from our team of experts. No matter where you are, IGN.com, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, IGN has you covered.
I'm Akeem Lawanson, and this is What to Watch on IGN1. It's a weekly show where we check out the latest and greatest in trailers, reviews, and everything else in the world of entertainment. Tune in to new episodes every Friday at 9 p.m. on IGN1.
The only thing better than listening to IGN podcasts is watching them. Luckily, all your favorite weekly shows are here on IGN1. Whether you're chasing the latest Xbox releases with Unlocked, looking for your PlayStation fix with Beyond, tracking everything coming to Switch with Nintendo Voice Chat, or catching up on this week's gaming news with GameScoop, we've got you covered.
Check it out.
Tune in every weekday at 5 p.m. for the best gaming coverage right here on IGN1.
Was that a Xeno?
The corpse was definitely a xenomorph, slain in combat.
My God. Are those engineers? What killed them? And how? Xenos coming in! What the hell are those?
right, now you just gotta look at what's coming to Aliens Fireteam Elite. And join me right now to break down what gamers can expect is one of the founders of Cold Iron Studios, Craig Zinkovich. How are you, sir?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, I'm talking games with you. Anytime I get to talk about games, I'm super excited. Now, we're gonna dive a lot deeper into things, what we just saw, but give us a basic overview of the Pathogen expansion.
So Pathogen expansion is the first paid expansion for Aliens Fireteam Elite. It comes with tons of stuff. It's got a brand new campaign that takes place right after the 4 campaigns that are in the base game, carries on the storyline of the crew of the Endeavor. It's got new abilities and powers for each of the kits. It got new weapons, new enemies, new cosmetics, tons of new stuff. And it all comes with a free hardcore mode as well.
Ooh, wow. Now that was actually one of the questions we were going to ask you before, but I kind of want to talk about it right now. Tell us about the hardcore mode.
So hardcore mode is awesome. Aliens Fireteam Elite is not for the faint of heart. Obviously, there's the normal difficulty. There's casual difficulty for people who just want to get in and experience the story. But it's a survival co-op shooter. It's Colonial Marines, it's Xenomorphs, you've got to be on your toes. And one of the things that we've been working on is the hardcore mode, which is, it's permadeath. It's permadeath for the game. You start a character, you get as far as you can. If you die, it's over. You get to keep your unlocks, you get to keep your currency so you can buy those weapons that maybe you earned with that previous Marine, but every time you die, you gotta start over. Each mission that you play, you open up harder difficulties, and you can see whether or not you can get all the way up to hardcore 50 without having died. So it's a pretty exciting permadeath mode for the game.
Oh my goodness. It's going to take a lot of training for anyone to get to that, I'm assuming. Like to get to 50, level 50?
Definitely. 50 is crazy. Currently, we have difficulty levels that go up to insane in the normal game. Hardcore 50 is even harder than insane. It's going to be really, really difficult not to take a full, very coordinated fire team, group of your friends in there and still not get annihilated.
Now, the Season 3 Lancer went live back in April.
Yep.
Now, bringing with it, of course, like a bunch of free additional content. We're talking about a new class kit, loadout presets, challenge cards. How do you think this new expansion will complement or enhance what you and the team's done previously?
Oh, sure. So since August, since we launched the game, we've been working on it. Yeah, as you said, Season 3 came out in April. We had Season 1, Season 2. We've added multiple new class kits, a lot of new content, systems, quality of life features to the game. Season 4 is even coming out in July before the expansion comes out. We haven't announced everything that's in there, but crossplay is going to be in there. Looking forward to getting that out, letting people team a little bit easier before we get the DLC in August. And all of that leads up to the new content, to the new storylines. Obviously, the expansion also has tons of new weapons, tons of new attachments. The expansion also has new, perks, new power replacing perks, which are basically abilities for each of the classes that we've launched since. So really, this year has been kind of building up all of those new additional things so that the expansion can be that, capper right at the end.
That's so awesome to hear that, before we even get this expansion that we're going to get another season. That's so great to hear. Now, so Aliens Fireteam Elite has been out for about almost a year, about 9 months. What have you and the team learned in this time that's led up to this new DLC release? Like, what are fans saying?
Oh, I think that the core fan base really, really likes what we're doing, but they just want a whole lot more. And that's what we're trying to do as much as possible. Small indie Cold Iron Studios here working on such a hit game. It's such a fantastic honor to be doing this. And the whole team is working as hard as we can. So as I said, season after season, adding new things to the game, making sure that crossplay gets in there, which is one of the things that the fans have been asking for. And then the cherry on top is more story content. They love the characters that we created, the crew of the Endeavor. They want to see what happens on LV-895 after you've destroyed the Katanga. And so really being able to do that and provide that for the fan base is something we're super excited about.
Yeah, and what I love is, because you and I talked about this off camera, is the fact that this takes place years after the movies, correct? Yep. So you're not beholden to, we're playing within the universe of Alien or Aliens or Aliens 3, where you all are creating a new, new lore I guess,
Sure.
would you say?
Yeah, it's a cooperation, obviously, with Disney and all of the other, extended universe properties, the novels, the comics, stuff like that. But it really is an honor. It really is a privilege to be able to kind of add things to this universe that we are just amazing fans of. And so it's a labor of love for us to be able to play in this universe, and we take that responsibility extremely seriously.
Now, Craig, we're gonna queue up some video for you to kind of just walk us through.
Cool.
But before we get to that, can you give us a breakdown of some of the new weapons we can expect to see with this DLC?
Tons of new weapons in the pathogen. One of the things that I'm really excited about, we added a new weapon manufacturer, Alpha Tech. It's one of those things that is in kind of the extended universe. The lore shows up in like older comic books and some other games, but kind of expanding on that, there are a bunch of weapons from Alpha Tech that we're adding to the game. I think one of my favorites is there's an SMG that acts like a shotgun, and so it's like the fastest firing shotgun possible. That's kind of the dev team right now is having a really good time using that.
That sounds freaking amazing. Now, okay, Craig, so booting up the game, what are players going to immediately notice pertaining to the pathogen update? Like, is it just new content, or will we see like any new unique weapons, aliens, or system overhauls?
Sure. So the expansion comes with, pretty much the gamut of everything. Not only does it come with a brand new campaign that has new maps, new storylines, new locations, new enemies that show up in there, it also comes with, new weapons, loads of new rewards for the players to earn. So, dozens and dozens of challenge cards, weapon colorways, kit skins, hats, decals for your weapons. Tons of stuff that's going to show up in there. And then hardcore is going to be there for everybody, whether or not you've bought the expansion or not.
Woo! Wow. Okay, now tell us a little bit more about the campaign. Like, have you guys revealed how extensive it'll be? Like, how many hours would it take for someone to complete? You don't have to specifically say how many hours.
Sure, it's hard with a co-op survival shooter game.
Yep.
It depends on what difficulty level. If you're going in casual, you're going to just take your time and kind of enjoy the storyline. But if you're going to play anything normal or higher, there are going to be deaths involved. It's going to be pretty difficult until your team gets to the point where you can get through there. So counting hours is a little bit more difficult. But it adds a whole nother campaign, 3 new missions. There are 4 campaigns in the game right now, so you can kind of, mileage may vary whether or not you're playing extreme, insane, or casual to see how long it takes you to get through all that cool storylines. But there are a lot of cool new mechanics in the new missions where, adds more replayability. There's places where the map topography, the paths that you take through the maps changes each time. So I think that there's some new things in there that adds to the replayability that the base game has with the challenge cards and the difficulty levels and everything else as well.
Now, we talked about this off camera. We're both huge sci-fi nerds. I can say that. I can say that as a nerd. I can say we're nerds. So I kind of want to talk more about what this is based on. You all are introducing new storylines to the Alien universe with this expansion. What is it about the franchise overall do you think makes it so unique and prime for such exploration in the Aliens narrative and lore?
I mean, it's just such a storied franchise. It is, if you look back, it really is the first. It's really the first Space Marine story. That's Aliens, right? I think that there's the typical fear of the darkness in space, right? And Alien captures that in that core, horror aspect of it. And then Aliens just kicked it up a notch with the action movie aspect of it, bringing the military out there, and still space and the universe is terribly scary. And there's just so many storylines since then, all of the comics, all of the novels, all of the different action figures and whatnot that have come out that just really captures the fans, and our dev team's imagination into what this universe can do and kind of the tropes and storylines that can be told there.
Yes, we talked about this off camera. We did a lot of talking off camera, and it's
hard not to.
I keep saying that. Yeah, of course. I mean, again, when you're talking about something that that you're truly passionate about, you're gonna want to ramble about it even before these cameras turn on, and that's exactly what we did. I know the game is still fresh, it's still new, not even a full year just yet. But I'm already, again, because it's the fan in me, I'm already hoping that we see the Predator at some point. Alien versus Predator. You don't have to say anything, Craig. Do not say anything. We have his entire team right over here, so
nobody's going to let me say a thing.
Anything. Yes. Now I got to say this. What I love about this game is in relation to the movies, it doesn't just reference the Aliens films, but the prequel as well, Prometheus, which is a great way to introduce us to a different type of enemy in the universe created by the movies. What can you tell us about the pathogen brute and other enemies of that sort?
Sure. So, I mean, the pathogen is the thing that showed up in Prometheus, right? It's that black goo, it's the mutagen. And in the base game, there are a few pathogen enemies that you run into. You run into the black goo, you run into humans that were turned into husks because of the black goo. In pathogen, xenomorphs got into it, right? So you can imagine what these mutations do to the apex predator of the universe, perfecting, corrupting them. And so the brute is one of the new enemies, a bunch of new enemies within the game that show up within the pathogen expansion. And the brute is what happens if a drone or a warrior kind of gets exposed to this and becomes this hulking beast that you just have to really, really fear.
Yeah, and we won't have to imagine what that'll look like for too long because the DLC is dropping August 30th.
August
correct?
30th, yep.
Yes, August 30th. Thanks to Craig for giving us the lowdown on the new DLC release for Aliens Fireteam Elite. Now, the game's out right now, so y'all should be playing it, and you can catch the DLC come August 30th.